Hi guys, so let's quickly look at the anatomy of the eyeball now. So whenever I want to talk about the eyeball, I love dividing it into three major parts. Okay, so it's easily understandable. Number one, we have the outer part. We have the middle part, and we also have the inner part. Now, the outer eye is made up of two major parts. We have this part in black, the first layer to this point and to this point. So this whole part is called the sclera. The sclera. Now, this part just forms the outer part of the eyes. And if you look through the mirror, the white part of the eyes is actually the sclera. Okay. Now, it is opaque in nature. That means it is not transparent. It is opaque in nature. That means the light cannot actually pass through the sclera. And the second part of the outer eye is called the cornea. The cornea. So let's label that. This is the sclera. And this is the cornea. Now this part, unlike the sclera, it is transparent. And so all the light that enters the eyes enters through the cornea. Okay, so that forms the outer part of the eyes. And looking at the middle part of the eyes, the middle part of the eyes is made up of three major parts. The first is the choroid. We have the choroid, we have the ciliary body, and the iris. Now, the choroid is actually this part that we drew in red. So this is the choroid. The choroid is just the layer just immediately after the sclera. So the second layer is the choroid. And one of the characteristics of the choroid is that it is highly vascularized. That means it has a lot of blood vessels. Okay? It gives most of the oxygen requirements of the eyes. Okay, now you would notice that from the posterior part of the eyes, as the choroid is moving towards the anterior part of the eyes, it thickens at some points. So it thickens here. So this thick part is called the ciliary body. Okay, the ciliary body. And the ciliary body, so let's label that ciliary body. Ciliary body. Now, the ciliary body has extensions. Okay, it has about two extensions. One of the extensions are these ligaments. So we have things like ligaments holding the lens in place. So this ligament just hold the lens in place. It has the ability to actually stretch the lens or make it very circular. And this is important in image formation. Okay. Now, the next extension I'm going to talk about is the iris. So this is the iris. This right here is the iris. Now, the iris is also called the diaphragm. Diaphragm. Now, what does it do? It actually controls the amount of light that enters the eyes. Okay, so if the light intensity is too much, the diaphragm shuts, it closes to allow minimal light to pass through the eyes. But if you are in a dark place, the diaphragm will have to dilate, it has to open to allow more light inside the eyes so you can actually see. Now, the next part we're going to look at is the inner eye. All right, so the inner eye is majorly the retina. The retina. Now, the retina is divided into two layers. We have the neural layer and we have the pigmented layer. Now, the pigmented layer lines is the layer that comes immediately after the choroid. I also have it here. Okay, so this is the pigmented layer. Now, the next layer that follows is the neural layer. So let's write that down. Pigmented or pigment layer and neural. Now, the neural layer follows immediately after the pigmented layer, but this is the catch here. The neural layer comes from the posterior and ends somewhere here. It ends somewhere here. So it ends here. It doesn't go through to the anterior part of the eyes. So it just ends here. So this is the neural layer of the retina. Now, the neural layer is very important because this is actually where light is transduced. Transduction occurs to convert light into electrical signals that are transferred to the brain. Remember that the ears only understand sound. Okay, so whatever the ear hears, it hears it as a sound. Same thing happens to the eyes. Whatever it sees it as light. So when light enters the eyes, it hits the retina. It is the neural part of the retina that actually helps in the conversion of this light to electrical signals that are sent via the optic nerves to the brain. And then you're able to know what you have seen. Now, one important thing is that you see this part here, it is called the fovea. Now, this part is very important because this actually contains a lot of the rods and cones, which the rod is actually for light intensity, black and white light, while the cones is for color. So you can just use rod, intensity of light, then cones, colors. So you just use CO to remember that cones are for colors. All right, now we have more of them packed at this particular point. And this is what happens in image formation. When light enters, it focuses on this particular spot. If, as we're watching now, the light from this video is focused on this particular point of the retina. Now, sometimes light can fall on every other part of the retina. It can fall on other part of the retina. And when light falls on other part of the retina, that is the surrounding you can see. So if you are watching this video, you are focused on the video, but you can actually see what is happening in your surrounding. That is because light has fallen on other parts of the retina that is not the fovea. I hope you get that. So when you see things from your side eyes, that's light falling on other part of the retina. And that particular vision will not be as clear as the one you're looking at directly. Okay? Until you turn to look at that particular thing, then you can now see exactly what it is. Whenever you turn to look at that particular thing, that means that the light ray is directed to the fovea. Okay? So that is that. Now, finally, let's look at the fluids that sit in the eyes. Now, there's a particular fluid that sits in the eyes. Now, this fluid is very important because it helps to keep the eye in shape. If these fluids are not there, the eyes will somehow flap. So we do not want that. So the fluid that sits beneath or behind the lens is called the vitreous humor. The vitreous humor. And this is basically made up of water and electrolytes. Now, the fluid that sits at the anterior part is called the aqueous humor. The aqueous humor. Okay, now this is just an overview of the anatomy of the eye. In my next video, I'll be talking about image formation, how images are formed, and also accommodation. Okay, so thank you and see you in my next video.